Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing. Whether you're a seasoned investor, a new landlord, or just curious about property investing, this is the podcast for you. Sponsored by the Co-Living Collective, your trusted partner in creating vibrant and sustainable shared living experiences. Visit us at colivingcollective.com.au to learn more.
Welcome back to the HMO Property Show. I am your host, Neil Gibb, as always. And today I want to talk to you about, are you playing to win or playing not to lose? Because there's a massive difference. One creates momentum and the other creates mediocrity. And today I want to talk about the difference and why it actually matters. Because if you're investing in property, building a business, raising a family, or just trying to create a better life, how you show up every single day determines what you get. And when it comes specifically to real estate investing, investing in the right asset class and playing to win can be the difference between retiring at 45 and 50 or working until you're 70. So let's break it down. You see, your mindset defines your strategy, and your mindset can also be determined by who you hang around with. Your circle creates your ceiling. So if you're hanging around with loads of people, well, you'll notice that if you're hanging around with a lot of similar people, or the people that you are hanging around with, will all be on a very similar field to you, because that becomes the ceiling, right? So you need to get out there and you need to meet new people in areas or business or real estate or doing things that you want to do. And slowly but surely, you'll get pulled up to that ceiling. That will be your new ceiling. You get pulled up to their level. See, when you're playing to win, your decisions are based on opportunity. And when you're driven by the upside, you'll see what's actually possible and you take action even when there's risk. You're being proactive, you're being bold, you're being strategic. But again, coming back to your circle, if you're around the wrong people, then that circle, if they are negative and they're doomsdays and, you know, the barbecue expert, then you're going to limit your growth, because they're definitely not going to be proactive. They're not going to be bold and going to be strategic. They're full of opinions, but opinions are like assholes, right? Everybody's got one. Doesn't mean that they're always right. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? But you want to make sure that you're taking advice and guidance and feedback from people that have been there, done that, got the blood, sweat, tears, battle scars, grey hairs, no hairs, whatever you want to say. You want to make sure that you're getting the feedback from them people, because when you're playing to lose, your decisions are actually based on fear. You're focused on protecting what you have. You hesitate, you overanalyze, you wait, and in that waiting, you often miss the moment. And in property investing, this mindset shows up in a big way. You see, playing to win is buying assets that give you cash flow and capital growth in the same asset class. And playing not to lose is buying a negatively geared property in a safe suburb or a boom suburb, as they keep calling them, a growth corridor, and hoping the market does the work for you. You're relying just purely on capital growth. And for me, that is play not to lose. It's like buying an asset and hoping something happens rather than buying an asset and making something happen. Here's the truth. Hope is not a strategy. And in today's world, a 3 to 4 to 5% yield does not give you freedom. It gives you mortgage repayments and stress. When interest rates go up, tenants vacate and you've got a vacant property. When there's maintenance to do on the property, but you don't have enough income to pay for the maintenance because you've got a piddly little 4 or 5% yield. And look, I'm not sitting here saying I'm invincible and I'm not bothered about any of this, because when I first started investing, I was scared too. I had the fear and I didn't want to mess up. And don't get me wrong, I have made many mistakes on this journey. I'm not sitting here on my ivory tower saying this was an easy journey. I've made many mistakes. I've invested in projects that I've lost money, but them have been the expensive lessons that I needed to learn in my early stages of my career to make me a better property developer now. And I was like really concerned about what people would think if I failed. But like one of the biggest things, and I can't remember who it was, someone like a Tony Robbins or a Dean Graziosi or someone, might have actually been Kerwin Ray. It was like talking about letting go of what other people think about you and just focusing in on what you want and your total circle. My circle is very tight. It's my wife, my kids, my business partner, and some very close mentors, people like Brett Jones, Calvin Coyles, Kim Barrett, people like that. They're the type of people I keep in my tight circle, and people that when I ask them questions, I listen to their feedback. Anyone else? I don't particularly care. And I did do a podcast on this where I talk about the Man in the Arena. I think it was by George Roosevelt or somebody. And he's talking about like only listen to the people that have been there, done that, and they've got the blood, sweat, and tears themselves. So I stopped worrying about what everybody else thought if I failed, and I just went on my own little journey. And that itself is playing to win and not playing to lose. That is playing to win instead of playing not to lose. You see, but when I did my first HMO and I actually seen that it worked, I seen the cash flow coming in, I was like, ooh, this works. This is interesting. Nobody else is doing it. There's a huge marketplace there. Well, I didn't realize how big it actually was. And that was the moment that I actually stopped playing not to lose and I started playing to win right there and then when we started investing in HMOs. Because playing to win meant backing myself, learning the rules of the game and getting around people who were already ahead of me. I used to network like crazy. I still do a little bit of networking, not as much as I used to, but my networking now more revolves around paying to get access direct to mentors. And there's been a few people, and you'll go through different stages of this yourself. You start off and you sit in these crowds of, 200, 300, 400 people in the room. These are great. These are generally the entry level courses for people. But as my career has progressed and as my thirst for knowledge has increased, instead of sitting in the room and joining the course, I now get direct access to the person who runs the course. And if that means I need to pay them X amount of money per year for them to mentor me, I will do that any day of the week, because that means you're going to get better answers for your questions because you've got better mentors and you get better at making decisions. And I wouldn't be in the position I am now if I didn't have the coaches and mentors in my life that I did. But one of the biggest traps in this world, and I think a lot of people will relate to this that listen to this podcast, is this middle class comfort zone. This is the bracket where people are earning like $150,000 to $300,000 a year, and it's a sneaky, dangerous place to be, right? Because everything looks fine on the outside. You've got a nice house. You probably drive a decent car. You've got a good job. Your email signature probably says manager or director, or you've got some swanky little title and you've got a good income, and maybe you're going on 1 or 2 holidays a year. But the problem is, right, with these increases in titles, with these increases in salaries from 150 to 180 to 220, I see a lot of people that get these these increases, and instead of putting that money into investments, they buy a new car, they increase the house, they stop shopping at Kmart and they start shopping at Gucci. Do you know how I know this, guys? Because this was me to a T. I was spending all of my money trying to look wealthy, and I was actually broke. And it's like you're stuck on a treadmill. You're earning good money, but you never really get ahead. And you're not really losing either, but you're definitely not winning. And you've got to make your money work hard for you, so you don't have to keep working hard for your money. Because is what's worse, you know that you should be doing something more. You know there's more potential in you. You know that investing could change your life. But you're either waiting for the perfect time, which is like after this holiday, I'll get this out the way, or after I upgrade my car, I'll do this. Or maybe you're just actually waiting for the perfect deal, or maybe you're just procrastinating, over-analyzing. You've got analysis paralysis, and you're waiting for that fate to just magically disappear. Here's the thing, right? The perfect moment never really comes, because the moment you decide to change is the moment that everything changes. If you don't risk anything, you risk everything. And I see it all the time, people sitting on, $300,000, $500,000, $700,000 equity in their home, doing absolutely nothing with it. Saying things like, my holding costs will increase on this property if I draw the money out of it, or I just want to wait and see what happens with the market. If you're waiting to feel 100% safe before you invest, you'll be waiting forever. And every single year that you wait, you are losing. You are losing out on capital growth, compound interest, rental increases, potential losing depreciation, and just going backwards, losing the ability to build wealth, because you cannot save your way to wealth. And money in the bank is getting eaten up by inflation. The cost of a cold shop, I refer to this quite a bit because I actually was unaware of how expensive everything was getting until Joe sent me to Coles one day, and I filled 2 bags of shopping, and I thought it was going to come to $100, and it came to like $380. And I was like, shit, this is expensive. This is expensive. But do you know what's even more expensive? Comfort. Sitting in that comfort zone and not making your money work hard for you is dangerous, and it's expensive, because these people in this kind of middle class bracket on this good wage and this nice house with this nice car, their goal and their mindset is, I'll just pay down the mortgage on my principal place of residence. I'll put my money in super, and I should be able to retire nice and easily with like $800,000 to $900,000 in my super. Well, here's the thing, right? If you are earning $1,000 a year and then you retire and you got $800,000 in your super, and let's say you pull $80,000 a year out of that to live, you're going to run out of money in 10 years. And if you retire at 65, you run out of money at 75, but you live to 85. What are you going to do for that extra 10 years? How are you going to live? You'll have too much life left at the end of your money. So the real cost of playing not to lose is, let's say you invest, let's just use a HMO, for example, you 350K, get you a property, you'd be making around, if you're interest only, you'd be making $25,000 a year in passive income per year. If you're principal and interest, you would be about $11,000 or $12,000. This is before the cash rate. Before the cash rate comes down, interest rates come down, your cash flow is going to increase. So that's money in your pocket, and then you could be using that money to decrease the debt on your investment property and on your principal place of residence. That's fantastic, because that's how you build in wealth, by paying down debt and investing in properties that go up in value and produce cash flow. But what if you just left that $350,000, $500,000, whatever it is? What if you just leave that in your offset account, 50K? I had this discussion with an investor today, actually. He said, I don't want to take it out because I'll have to pay interest on that. And it might be 12 grand a year. It's not massive. But if you put that $350,000 into a property, $1 million, and it goes up 10%, that's $100,000. So even after you pay your 12 grand extra, you're still $88,000 ahead. And you've done nothing to work for that extra money. But if you don't, you might have saved 12 grand, but you've gained nothing, no equity, apart from in your principal place of residence. But, you're not going to redraw on that equity, are you? So what's the point? No appreciation, no leverage, no tax benefits, just lumping down your principal place of residence. You're actually paying off your principal place of residence with after-tax money. After-tax money. So if you think about it, if you paid $500 for your PPR, by the time you pay the interest on that over 30 years, you're probably paying back $800,000 with the interest. But then if you think about that $800,000, that's after-tax money. So to earn that $800,000, you probably paid 35% tax. So that's probably $1.3 million. Take away the tax, and then you pay the $800,000 pre-tax money. Where if you invest in investment properties and that property goes up in value, you can redraw that equity out without paying tax in it, because it's not profit that you're pulling out, it's debt that you're pulling out, and that debt then becomes tax deductible, and then you can use tax deductible debt to buy more assets that go up in value. And then when they go up in value, you can redraw the equity again, and it's tax deductible again. So you don't need to be rich to start, but you need to start to be rich. That's the saying that Brad Sugars say. You don't need to be rich to start, but you need to start to be rich, because you cannot save your way to wealth. And this is why playing not to lose is so dangerous. It keeps you stuck in the same place whilst everyone else is moving forward. And it's not just about property. The playing to win mindset, or playing not to lose mindset, applies everywhere. Relationships, business, in health, Playing not to lose in a relationship means avoiding hard conversations, staying surface level, and not being vulnerable. People always say to me, Joe, your relationship's really good. It is really good, but we have these hard conversations. We back each other. When we go out on date night, we have a list of questions that we ask each other, and then we set personal goals to support each other through the next month. And some of these conversations we have bring tears to our eyes, sometimes the good tears, sometimes the bad tears. Myself and Joe know exactly where we are both at in our relationship. Everything worth to having is, you need to work hard at. A relationship with your partner, a relationship with good friends, business, property portfolio, all takes work. What's the saying? If it's worth having, you need to work hard for it. Something along them lines. I probably just butchered that quote. Well, let's talk about in your career, right? So playing not to lose in your career means staying in a job you don't love just because it's safe. How many people are doing that right now? Are you listening to this podcast and are you in a job that you don't like, but you're staying there because you don't want to change to somewhere else because you know it's just going to see you out to retirement? Yep. You go to the same place every day, sit in the same chair, have very similar conversations with them same people. How was your weekend? How is this? How is that? Like, you're playing not to lose there. Playing to win would be looking for that next job, looking for that career progression, looking for that business that's growing so that you can be part of that personally and professionally. And then playing not to lose in business means undercharging, not hiring help and playing small. I'm talking to all you one-man bands out there that you're saying no one can do it as good as me. I used to say that as well, and then I started hiring incredible people, and I realised that everyone could do it better than me. I've got some incredible people that work at this business now. I'm very, very proud of that. So on the flip side of all that, playing to win in a relationship means leading with love, having the tough conversations and building something deep. Playing to win in your career means taking a leap back in yourself and chasing your purpose. And playing to win in business means taking calculated risks that align with your long-term vision. It's the same mindset, just applied to different parts of life. And the kicker is, winners take risks, losers avoid them. But the biggest risk is not taking one. And like Rob Moore says, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. So before I wrap this podcast up, it's actually a short one-ish for me today. I want you to stop and have a think about this right now, today. Are you playing to win? Or are you playing not to lose? Because the people who win in property, the people that win in life, the people that win in business, they aren't smarter than you. I'm definitely not. I wouldn't class myself as a smart person, not from the area I came from, not from the school I came through. I just made a decision. I just chose to back myself and I chose to learn new things and I chose to play offense instead of defense. And anyone could do that, anyone, but you need to make the decision. You need to start now and get perfect later and not wait for the perfect time and the perfect moment to come along before you do something. So if you've been sitting on the fence, stuck in analysis paralysis, I want to challenge you. It's time to move, guys. It's time to actually do something. And if you want help making that move specifically in property investing, then reach out. You know, this is what we do all day, every day, and twice on a Sunday. We help everyday Australians play to win through smart, cash flow positive assets that go up in value and produce cash flow at the same time. Because at the end of the day, guys, you cannot save your way to wealth and you cannot wish your way to freedom, but you can invest your way to freedom. So play to win. Let's go.
Welcome to the HMO Property Show. By investors, for investors. Catch us weekly as we discuss all things cash flow positive property investing.